Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. So, in this episode, I wanted to cover the Tigrayan Defense Forces offensive operations into the Afar region and how that could affect the ongoing war. So, first off, the uh, the main Tigray Defense Force drive was obviously south from Alamata, and initially it was really focused along these two mountain ranges, in which the TDF proceeded to move south, and then at some point they were able to envelop Kobo and sever the number 2 highway here. And these forces these TDF forces were then, over the course of a period of time, able to continue to move in a southeasterly direction. You have to understand, after the battles that occurred near Coram and then the capitulation of Alamata by the Amhara militias and the Ethiopian army, which then proceeded to flee south, and many of which were then captured. But these forces fled basically past Kobo into other areas of the Amhara region. Some went east, some went west, some went south, and this broken force was really ineffective in terms of continuing any form of continued combat operations. And this is where we have seen the TDF exploit this very significant tactical problem for the Ethiopian and Amhara militias. So we have indeed seen the TDF proceed in a southeasterly direction and even an easterly direction over some very rugged and poor terrain, with the goal of severing roadways inside of the Afar region. And it wasn't just one area that has been severed. Several groups of TDF units have penetrated the Afar region. Some units were engaging units of regional militia units that were deploying to threaten the Tigray region. Other units were going after these transportation hubs in terms of highways. And some of these goals was such goals as Shifra. Obviously, it has a trisection here of highway that could be severed. At the same time, further east, the real prize was the target around Mille. And again, you can see several transportation hubs here very, very clearly that could stop the movement of any form of supplies from Djibouti into Ethiopia proper. And then obviously we have some of the deepest raids occurred around this area of Logia. And again, this is the main road that gives access from Djibouti to Ethiopia proper in terms of getting supplies into Addis Ababa. Now, that's just for Djibouti. Is this sort of operation to disrupt the flow of supplies and trade from Djibouti into Ethiopia going to have a real dramatic effect kind of in the long term for Ethiopia? I would say, honestly, probably not. There are other routes where Ethiopia can supply itself. Supplies do not necessarily just need to come from Djibouti. Obviously, there is the alternative route into Ethiopia, and that is Kenya. So supplies and trade and necessities can come in to Ethiopia from ports at Mombasa and other places as well via Kenya. and that is probably an alternate method of that the Ethiopian government will utilize in case these roads in the Afar region continue to be uh, controlled by the TDF. But it was an operation. I believe that the Amhara militias and the Ethiopian army were not prepared for. They probably were of the opinion that once forces were driven out of Alamata, that a lot of the combat power of the Tigray Defense Forces would then be shifted west for an operation in western Tigray with the goal of seizing Himora. Now, that operation is still in the works, and obviously there's still fighting going on in the west. But the TDF pulled a fast one. They attacked and invaded the Amhara region from southern Tigray, and then they launched attacks in a fairly significant operation into the Afar region. Probably something that the Ethiopians, the federal government, the Prosperity Party, Mr. Abiy Ahmed, was not anticipating. And unfortunately for the Ethiopian state, that is the way warfare is. You attack your enemy where he is weakest, and you avoid him where he is strongest. And that is what the TDF has been doing this entire conflict. And in this operation that drove into Kobo and into the Afar region, that is exactly what the Tigray Defense Forces was doing. And that's why we're now seeing these regional militias of the various Ethiopian regions. Some are mobilizing, some are not, to try and prevent further activity from the TDF in places around Ethiopia, such as Afar and Amhara. But that is currently the situation. The situation in Kobo, while the TDF controls Kobo, they have not gone into the city in force, from my understanding. That may have changed within the last few hours, but my understanding, they have sealed it off. And yes, there are some Amhara militia units inside of Kobo that have kind of gone into hiding, and are deep inside of the town. But in terms of any sort of resistance that is attacking the TDF from inside of Kobo, that is not the case. Kobo is sealed off by the TDF, and TDF forces have continued to move south and continue offensive operation in this direction towards Weldia. And again, that then gives the opportunity to head further south, to continue in a westerly manner along the 22 highway, and continue to create havoc inside the Amhara region, and then obviously the operations that could take place in terms of an encroachment onto Gondar. That is a possibility. Have we seen it yet? No, not as yet. But again, given the audacity of some of these operations that we've seen, especially into Afar, I would not rule out really anything at this point. And it is again a very fluid operational tempo in terms of the TDF strategy, and we will continue to monitor the situation and report as needed. Have a great day, everybody.